This physics is so hard. Hello?
Would you like to learn about the didgeridoo? May I come in?
Sure.
I would love to teach you about the didgeridoo. It is native.
Alright, let's go upstairs.
Okay.
Whoa, how'd you get up here so fast?
Circular breathing is very difficult.
Yeah. Would you like to explain some of the history of the didgeridoo?
It's typically crafted from certain types of eucalyptus tree trunks that have been naturally hollowed out by termites. Identified by a master craftsman who can identify if the branch is hollow before he cuts it down. After the branch is cut off, it is taken back for curing before being stripped of bark and shaped into the traditional instrument. A mouthpiece may also be required in addition to this branch. It can be made of beeswax if its natural dimensions are too wide to play comfortably. The instrument is then sealed and usually painted with designs and imagery symbolic of its traditional mark makers. The oldest records of Aboriginal playing the didgeridoo date back 2,000 years in the form of old Northern Australian cave paintings and rock paintings. The traditional name that we call it is the Yidaki. It's played by Aboriginal people in ceremonies for other social and recreational activities.
Do you know how the sound is produced in the didgeridoo?
The first step in creating the sound of the didgeridoo is a tight seal between the lips and the mouth of the instrument. When a didgeridoo player exhales into the instrument while vibrating their lips rapidly in a unique way, sound is created. And as the player exhales and vibrates his or her lips, the vibrations are carried through the tube and play against the uneven surfaces of the termite hollowed wood. Because of how the didgeridoo makes sound, as previously described, the sound wave starts at your mouth, which is the closed end, and this end, and goes down to the end of the tube, and back down again. So, it reflects back at this point, the open end of the tube. Some of the sound wave reflects back to the open end of your mouth, creating a standing wave. In this harmonic, the wavelength of the sound wave is actually 4 times the length of the tube. This is because that is the first harmonic. The length of the tube in the third harmonic, the first overtone, is 3/4 one wavelength. And the length of the tube in the fifth harmonic, the second overtone, is 1 1/4 wavelength. As you can see, as the frequency gets higher, the wavelengths get smaller, as long as the velocity of sound and air remains.
I suppose if you know about the wavelength and the frequency, you also know how to change the pitch?
Basically, sound is a bunch of vibrations in the air, and the pitch of the note depends on the frequency of these vibrations. Frequency is measured as the number of vibrations per second. 1 vibration per second is called 1 Hertz. The international standard is that middle A, the note that is equivalent to that is an equivalent octave as middle C. This is at a frequency of 440 Hertz. To increase the frequency or the pitch, a player can tighten the mouth muscles, and to decrease the pitch, the player can loosen their mouth muscles. But how do you amplify the sound of the instrument?
The tubular shape of the didgeridoo acts as an amplifier, creating the deeply resonant and haunting sound, as well as enabling the sound to be carried over great distances. The wider the column, the louder the sound will be. Also, a mic system will amplify the sound. If the player blows harder without changing the shape of his mouth, it could possibly change the pitch, but it will mainly change the amplitude, increasing the sound.
How is the sound of the didgeridoo unique?
Well, as you can see, the unique buzz-like drone of the didgeridoo is very low-pitched, similar to that of a tuba. However, many of the other instruments in the wind family are very high-pitched, such as the flute and clarinet. We could go outside right now to listen to nature, Or we could stay inside and listen to the didgeridoo, as it has been associated with all kinds of colorful descriptions, such as the sound of Mother Earth, that of the spirits, animals, insects, and even electronic effects. It is equally able to accompany other instruments in a group, as it has a unique way of impressing audience with its solo sounds. This uniqueness of sound and versatility has made the instrument a must-have for many contemporary musicians.
In conclusion, the didgeridoo is a native Australian wind instrument. It is considered a closed air tube because of the seal on one end that is created by the player's lips. The wider the column, the louder the sound will be, or if you use a resonating chamber or mic system, the sound will also be louder. The pitch changes depending on the shape of the player's mouth. The tighter the muscles are, mean the higher pitch, and looser muscles mean lower pitch.
The didgeridoo has a very unique low buzz-like noise that is different than the more high-pitched noises other instruments in its family produce. These wide and varied associations have given the didgeridoo a unique, widespread, and particularly personal appeal, and this ability makes the didgeridoo suitable for many purposes.